Okay, I believe means we're ready. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is our post-high school training careers panel that we have been doing. I think now this is the 5th year. My name is Gavin Vonsalides, and I'm one of the high school counselors at CVU. We also have here with us Susie Moakley, who's one of the school counselors who works primarily with students who engage in our flexible pathways through Burlington Technical Center or CTE in Essex. Really, the intention of tonight is to give students and families information about the multiple pathways and opportunities that are beyond that of a four-year traditional college career. A lot of these programs can lead into that, but this is just to give families and students information about what are those opportunities that are afforded and offered to students here in our state, and what does that mean for our state, and how it can translate into jobs outside of the state as well. We have some phenomenal panelists with us tonight, and the format of this is that we will be asking them questions. They will be responding in a chat format style. And then at the end, we'll be sure to leave questions for you, which you can leave in the YouTube link. And Susie Moakley and Gary Lambert will be monitoring that. Um, and this is really the goal, is to give you as much information as possible about how to take those next steps, maybe to connect with these individuals or also with your school counselor in your school and community. And additionally, this will be posted on our CView website and shared out with the larger community.
And also, I will add, Gavin, that some of our opportunities that we're talking about tonight are going to be things you can take advantage of while in high school, which is really exciting. There's a lot of opportunities for students now while they're still in high school to explore training and career programs. And again, we're really excited to have our expert panelists with us to talk about that.
Yeah, and maybe we can just start off with our panelists introducing themselves and where they're coming from, and then we'll get into the questions. How does that sound, team? Yeah.
That sounds great. I can tick people off. Tom, do you want to start?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Cheney, and I'm with Advance Vermont. And our mission is to ensure that every Vermonter is able to see and ultimately pursue a career and education pathway that helps them meet their goals. And a big part of that is by making sure that every single high school student graduates with a clear plan for their next step. So very much excited about the conversation today.
Thanks, Tom. Michael?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Keogh. I'm the Director of Workforce Development for the Community College of Vermont. And my role with the college is primarily to work with businesses around the state. We work to identify skills gaps and training gaps and learn about the new and growing occupations that are in demand here. And me and my team develop programs to help you all access those great paying jobs in high wage industries. So happy to be here and share what we're doing.
Thank you. Cindy?
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Cindy Robillard. I am an assistant director in the Workforce Development Division of the Vermont Department of Labor. The Vermont Department of Labor is a state agency that's mission is really to serve two customers. We have a mission to serve Vermonters who are looking for jobs, especially young people. And we have a mission to serve, a part of our mission is to serve Vermont employers who are looking to hire Vermonters. We do that with a couple of different tools. We have job centers, 11 job centers around the state, community near you, and you're able to meet with an employment and training consultant to get some help with some of the career path decision making, career exploration, job search strategies, things like resume writing and interviewing. And then we also have a system called Vermont Job Link, which is also a tool, a database, job matching system. And then I think I'll just say quickly that we're also the state apprenticeship agency, and I'm hoping throughout the evening I'm going to be able to give you a little bit more information about that program.
Thank you very much. Meg?
Hello, everyone who's joining us. My name is Meg DeLude. I'm the Senior Program Manager for Career Training and Exploration at Vermont Works for Women. I use she, her pronouns. And our mission at Vermont Works for Women is we approach the work of economic justice through gender equity. So what that means is that we help support women girls and gender expansive folks across Vermont at any stage of their career journey. And I get to join you today to talk about our youth programming and our trades training program, which is, as Cindy just mentioned, the apprenticeships that they hold. Our Trailblazers program is a pre-apprenticeship that is a trades training program that we hold across the state. So I'm super excited to talk with everyone today about our programs and just this community of support around workforce development.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, with the first question, why should a student consider pursuing education and training after high school? Who would like to go first?
I'm happy to go. Well, there's a couple of reasons, really, and I just think it can be boiled down this way. Your future depends on it, and so does Vermont's. I'll take the last part first. And so you're part of something big. The state has a goal that 70% of Vermonters will have some sort of education or training that brings them value in their careers. And it's not some random number. It's actually based on what employers are looking for. So really, they need the skills that are developed only if you continue learning after high school. And as you think about your next steps, think about how you'll be entering Vermont's workforce. You'll be powering our state, you'll be powering our economy, and your success is really our own collective success. So it's important to you as an individual for three reasons. One, pursuing education and training after high school, it's an investment in yourself and in your dreams. You hear that a lot, but it quite literally allows you to define your own success, your own path. Two, it grants you access to more job opportunities. So all of the most promising jobs, we'll probably talk about these throughout the night in the state, they require some sort of piece of paper after high school, and 78% of those actually require a piece of paper, I should say, an apprenticeship, a certificate, a degree. The third reason is that education and training unlocks higher wages. So higher wages, more things that you can buy, able to take care of yourself and your family a little bit more. So that's my quick take.
My dad said to me, "What the heck else are you going to do?" And so that was my initial reason for pursuing it. And to be candid, it didn't lead to a successful experience. Doing it just to do it didn't work for me. And it took me a little bit of time, but once I discovered my my passion, my dream, vision for what I wanted to do, all of a sudden, post-secondary education or training made sense. My experience and likely your experience in high school is unique, but it lays the foundation, right? We need to have the core mechanics of quantitative reasoning and critical thinking. But as you start to advance in your career and in your life, you'll start to discover passions and things that you're interested in and want to pursue and develop and grow. And when we talk about post-secondary education, I just want to think broadly about the opportunity to learn and grow and develop for a lifetime. Sometimes it happens at a college, sometimes it happens at work, and it happens in the community. So like Tom said, we'll talk more about this as the session goes on about how we explore and find ourselves. But to Tom's point, pretty much everything that you might want to do in your adult life is going to require technical specific skills. And there are some that are broadly usable across multiple occupations and multiple industries. Some are very specific. There are lots of opportunities now, far more than there were in the past to explore those at low to no cost.
I could just jump in really quickly and say I echo everything that Tom and Mike have said. But one of the things that I think is just really important is your career development and where you kind of how your pathway looks is happening right now. And so like the really important thing is that why would I consider pursuing education or training? Because you just want to continue to have this growth opportunity, a growth mindset. And in just doing that, you're going to open doors. And, again, it can be in a very formal educational setting. But I think that the important thing and one of the key takeaways I hope you'll get from tonight is that, there are multiple pathways And I think the really important thing is that in order to, feel fulfilled and be able to, support yourself and your family in the future, all the learning that you're able to do both while you're in school right now, in school in the future, or on the job in the future is just really critical to that success. And so I think like it's happening right now and you might not even know it. So I just hope that you do take advantage of opportunities to build from here.
Can I jump in and ask a quick question related to that? I'm wondering, what do you say to the student when you're telling them that they should consider education and training after high school? They're in high school now and they're like, you know what? This isn't working so well. Like I am really struggling sitting in class and school is hard for me. And there's students that are, off the charts doing great in high school. And then we have students who really struggle in high school. And so what advice do you give to them about education and training and feeling like, if they're not loving school right this moment, what's for them?
I'd love to jump in on this question. We learn, everybody learns differently. And you learn more about yourself through your educational career about how you learn. And in your high school time, you're starting to understand, right, if certain settings aren't really working for you, if the traditional school setting isn't really working for you. There are other opportunities, there are other modes of gaining that training that isn't necessarily in a classroom setting in a traditional sense. A lot of the training programs, our Trailblazer program and a lot of our partner programs, so other skilled trades training programs, don't require sort of an academic excellence background. We are hands-on training. We want to explain and then do, right? We want to make sure that there's an opportunity for everybody, regardless of their style of learning, and those opportunities exist right here in Vermont. There are skilled trades training programs in all kinds of things, in HVAC, in construction, in welding, and all of those are structured very similarly, where you do have elements of content that you have to understand, but it's solidified when you're actually doing it in practice with others and with under the sort of tutelage of your instructors. So there are options. You just have to be open to understanding that about yourself and maybe taking a step and asking others, resources that we'll talk about more tonight, how to get there, how to get from where you are into those programs.
Thank you. I can jump to the next question, Gav, if that's okay. How might I make a decision about what is right for me? How do I decide what I want to do?
Well, I'll start if that works for folks. So you just need to get to know yourself. This is, a really, really important process, and you may be having opportunities to do some exploration now. You're going to learn a lot about some really amazing sites, I think, and different tools. But what I usually think about when I think about like, what do I need to know about myself that would help me understand, a direction to go in? I think if you know what your interests are, and there's a lot of interest kind of tools out there that help you, and you know what you're good at, like what are my kind of core things that my aptitudes kind of lend me toward, and I really know what's important to me. I think I used to talk about it like a little bit of a triangle when I was working directly with people, like between the interests and your kind of values and the things that you're really good at. Somewhere in there is the perfect job. And like one of the things that is sort of true about what we get to learn about ourselves and how we make decisions about, an occupation or a first job, even, it's not going to be perfect, but if we can get you kind of in the range of the things that you are interested in and good at and that fit your values and your current circumstances, we've gone a long way. So there are just a lot of tools out there that we could talk about and share, but a real good self-assessment of of who you are and what's important to you, I think is a good starting point.
This may be a little bit anecdotal and personal experience, but I struggled in high school and had felt the same pressure of that question of what's the right path for me, presuming that there is this path for everybody, and I needed to discover mine. And now that I'm middle-aged and gray and tired, I've realized I had lots of opportunities. And so as my career developed, I developed new skills and found different opportunities that I didn't even know were available to me. So I guess what I would suggest just at the front of this is don't look to find the path, but I think more to Cindy's point, to find yourself. And this will take a lifetime and it'll change over a lifetime. But there is sort of a strategic way you can approach this. And you can look to websites like My Future VT. Sorry, Tom, I'm a shill for the My Future VT website, but you can go online and start looking at opportunities that exist. You can go to the Department of Labor, and they'll support you in career interest surveys and help you formally discover yourself. And then once you get a general sense of a direction you want to go in, you can look to other resources like Vermont Works for Women, or you can even come to CCV and work with an advisor. And it's not just CCV. You can go to UVM, go to any training institution, work with their advisors, and say, "What do you have to offer me? Here's where I'm at. This is what I'm looking for support with, and what can you offer?" And what CCV offers right now is an opportunity. Everyone knows colleges offer certificates and degrees. What I feel really lucky to do with CCV is offer alternative pathways, alternatives to those longer term, heavy educational paths. And so we have something called the Career Pathway Entry Program, or CPEP. And what you can do in 6 weeks is discover industries. So if you're interested, say, in manufacturing, you can come to CCB for 6 weeks. You'll get 3 college credits. We'll get you certified in safety and quality. You'll engage in job shadows with local employers. And we'll even pay you a little bit of a stipend to offset any additional costs you might have. At the end of that, you get the knowledge, some of the basic skills, you get the experience, you get the connections with employers, you get a good sense of what employment looks like, and you start to build that sense of confidence. And at that point, you can say, this is not for me, or this is great and let's continue. And so I just note that there are lots of opportunities to explore, and don't feel like you have to figure it out right now.
100%. And a couple that just weren't mentioned, some things you could do: job shadow, intern, volunteer, get an entry level job somewhere, maybe during the summer, and you think maybe this is kind of an interesting thing. Maybe I'd want to pursue a career here. There's just some really practical things you can do to get a sense of what's out there. And your school counselors, your work-based learning coordinators can really help you to test the waters. And yeah, and there are a lot of tools. We'll talk more about My Future VT in a minute, but know that there are people, there are opportunities, and hands-on opportunities to try things like the job shadow, and there are tools, tech tools that can help you to figure that out.
Thank you. Oh, Meg, would you like to say something, please?
I would
Feel
just
free.
I would just quickly add that it's also okay to try it and decide that it's not for you. Learning that something isn't for you can be just as valuable. I think to my own experience and thinking about pursuing college. And I remember sitting in my accounting class my first semester, my freshman year. I went in as a business accounting major because truly, as a first generation college student, that's what I was thought I needed to be. And I remember sitting in class thinking, this can't be how I'm supposed to feel about what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And those moments are really important. So being willing to try, and as Cindy mentioned, like, check in with yourself, that self-evaluation is really important.
So we have a couple questions. I just want to make sure that we respond to our audience. One of them, as we talk about training programs, one audience member is really concerned about debt. they said that, paying for a training program, paying for college, paying for any kind of higher education program, is it really worth the debt that you might accrue in pursuing something after high school?
So you can't speak to every opportunity and say it is 100% worth it, right? It really is situational. But overall, the answer is yes, and a bunch of yeses. So education after high school, whether it is a degree, a certificate program, an apprenticeship program, is by and large worth it. In some circumstances, you're going to absolutely find places where it may not be, depending what you're going to do, but it is. And we have more opportunities than ever before in Vermont to help pay for all these types of education and training. So if you want to go to Community College of Vermont to get an associate degree or work on a certificate program, if your family makes $100,000 or less, you go there tuition free. That's a big, big deal. If you are looking to go to other institutions, there's a tremendous amount of aid. So UVM has a similar program. VTSU, Vermont State University, has a program with a slightly lower family income. So there is more aid than ever before. There is the advancement grant, which is what is specifically used for those non-degree options, those certificate programs that are out there. Maybe it's an adult CTE course that you take in the evenings. There are so many options and so many ways to fund them right now. And we could maybe talk more about that as we go. Yes is the answer.
One thing that I would add is there's a lot of really great information to help you make that decision out there. The Vermont Department of Labor has several divisions, and one of our divisions is our Economic and Labor Market Information Division. And I will include a link to that in our chat here. But I mean, those folks look at they collect data on occupations, and they do research that's based on how much people earn in Vermont and how much people earn nationally, and they crunch it and they look at median wages and they look at average wages and lots of different ways to slice it. But if you do the math, sometimes taking a real practical approach to your cost and your potential debt, and then okay, well, here's what I can see that this occupation will maybe start me at, and this is what I might be able to expect. So there's some really great labor market information out there that I would encourage you to take a look at. And again, we can support you and direct you and help you learn how to use that information. But having data to help make decisions is obviously really powerful.
And I'd also note that if there was ever any question as to whether or not companies value post-secondary education and training, just look at the number that offer tuition assistance, right? So over 70% of companies offer tuition assistance to their employees because they want their employees to have more skills and generate more value for the company. And so we've been really thoughtful in this. And so when you think about education and thinking about getting into that industry early, whether it's through a pre-apprenticeship program with the Department of Labor and leading into an apprenticeship, or the Career Pathways program where we get you into work in that industry first, we can use a lot of the existing money to pay for that. And then once you're hired by the company, we'll use tuition assistance. You'll continue to develop skills. And the nice thing about doing it that way is not only you not taking on any debt, but you're applying the knowledge that you're learning in the classroom on the job. And this leads to better employment outcomes, better academic outcomes. It's just a really good model for someone who's cost conscious and really wants to get a lot out of their education to follow.
Michael, this is a good segue because one of our audience members is asking specifically about how to get experience in high school in one of our promising Vermont careers, healthcare. How do you get experience through internships or, exposure to healthcare opportunities while in high school?
So I keep mentioning this Career Pathways program, but as a model, all it is effectively a pre-apprenticeship. And what we do is we package together some training with job shadows with local employers and credentials. So in a short amount of time, you get a little bit of experience with entry-level positions, more aspirational positions. You are assigned a career coach where you can work one-on-one and start to craft a short-term and long-term view for your career and start putting together a plan for yourself. So an easy way to get, that's one way to get experience. But if you have the initiative to go out and start metaphorically knocking on doors, calling companies and saying, I'd love to shadow somebody or get a tour. Companies want to hire people that are committed and are really interested. And so I have yet to hear of a company that had someone call them up, especially a young person in high school, and say, I want to do a job shadow and get turned away. That said, our Career Pathways program is now open to high school seniors. So if you're right now a senior, this March, you can actually enroll in the Career Pathways program. We have pathways in healthcare, human services, manufacturing, and even IT. And so if you have any interest in any of those industries, you can join us while you're in high school. You'll earn college credit. It's fully funded. And like I said, we'll pay you a stipend, about $560 just to come and go through the program. We'll pay for all the tuition. But the key is you'll have a support team working with you, an academic advisor, a career coach to really help guide you through that initial path.
I would just add to the affordability question. There are also a lot of training programs like our Trailblazers program that identify that there are major financial barriers for people, and our program is free. And a lot of other trades, skills, specific programs are free, and they also offer stipends. So our program has a paid work experience, and I know lots of other partner programs do the same. So there is the ability to gain those skills in sort of the shorter term programs in a way where you're not taking on debt, and in fact you're hopefully being compensated for the time that you're spent doing that work.
Just back to the healthcare question, and that's absolutely right, Meg. There's so many wonderful programs that are out there that are free or actually stipend, and you can find a lot of those on My Future VT and all of our websites. Uh, the the question around healthcare, the one other thing I just note is that I don't know what the age of this student or what grade they're in, but CTE is a great opportunity to go and explore healthcare opportunities. And so you leave your school, you go to a career and technical center nearby, and often you can get your licensed practical nursing certificate or licensure by the time you graduate from that program or complete that program. There's also other, health science type programs that are out there that can get you a little bit of a taste of what it might be like to be in healthcare. So that's another option.
Thanks, Tom. There are 4 programs in Chittenden County, 2 at Burlington and 2 at Essex. Essex are all-day programs, emergency medical services and health professions, and Burlington is Intro to Healthcare and the Health Sciences Academy. So if students have questions about any of those opportunities, they should definitely see their school counselor.
Thank you. I'll ask the next question. What are the most needed jobs in Vermont and nationally, and what do you anticipate in the years to come?
So, Cindy, this is a lot of Vermont Department of Labor data, but I'm happy to take a first stab at it if you want. I pulled a little bit of it up ahead of time. So the McClure Foundation and Cindy's Vermont Department of Labor release a list every couple of years of what they call the most promising jobs in the state. So these are great careers where they pay $30 or more an hour. So that's $62,000 a year. There's 300 or more openings in the course of the next 10 years or so in these professions. So they pay well. There's plenty of openings. You can explore this list on My Future VT. You can explore it on the McClure Foundation's website and elsewhere. From the current list, we're looking at teachers, carpenters, accountants. The top 4 jobs: we need 4,500 registered nurses. We need 7,400 teachers and special educators and CTE instructors. We need over 4,000 carpenters and a whopping 7,000 wait staff. And all of these jobs pay $30 an hour or higher. So that's a pretty good wage. The trick: they all need education and training of some kind. Some need a piece of paper. Some need on-the-job training, but they do need some level of continued training.
Yeah, I mean, that's 100%. You're spot on. I love that brochure. I love the partnership that allows us to publish it and get it out to schools. I hope some of you watching have actually seen it. I did, we'll share it out as well. But the one thing I really like about the brochure that Tom's referencing is that it really points to a range of jobs that, you know, and it's very inclusive. It helps you think about, you know, what are your preferences? When we talked about interests earlier, you know, do I like to work with people? Do I like to, you know, tackle things and, you know, work with my hands? Am I interested in solving, you know, problems? What is the other one? Am I detail oriented, like maybe an accountant? So, I feel like there's something on this brochure for everyone. And I think I'll just put my plug in for apprenticeship at this point, because some of the the high demand jobs that are on this brochure can be you can master, or you can earn your journey worker level, you know, level of competency while you're while you're learning. So that's the thing that I think I just want to, we talked about affordability, we talked about what are there for opportunities. I just think that, you know, it's important to think about registered apprenticeship, which is essentially an agreement that you might have with an employer where you're hired to learn on the job, and you're mentored one-on-one by a trade qualified or an expert, someone who's an expert in their field. There is often some instruction. There's related instruction that goes with it. Sometimes it's delivered online, sometimes it's delivered in the workplace, but there has to be a little bit of theory that goes with the applied learning that you're doing. And then again, I think the home run of registered apprenticeship is that you're earning and learning because it's a job. So when you think about, you know, the potential to be, you know, advancing in your life and, you know, saving money and, you know, buying things that people love to have, like homes and cars and all those things that we think are important. I just think that, you know, considering and looking into what is a registered apprenticeship, we have a team of folks that can help you figure that out. And then what occupations does that work for? Because it's not for every occupation, but we do have about 28 registered occupations in the state of Vermont. And, you know, many of them are in the trades, but we have some in healthcare. We have some exciting new ones coming on in healthcare, like sterile technician and surgical technician, that are, you know, great allied health occupations where you would be in the healthcare field, but would not necessarily require you to, you know, earn a post-secondary degree in order to do those jobs. So those are just a few examples. I can go on at length about apprenticeship, but I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to plug it as many times as I can, because the best part about it is it's a job and you're earning and learning at the same time. So I can't speak highly enough of it.
Excellent. Thank you. I'll go on to the next question unless someone else wants to chime in too. But those are great responses. Thank you. We've discussed this a little bit. And actually, I think it's been kind of woven in throughout. So, but just how does a high school student learn more about the training and work opportunities in Vermont and nationally? And I think we've been talking about the resources that are out there. And so, yeah, just wondering how to guide students in that process.
I could just jump in. We've talked about My Future VT a little bit, but we haven't necessarily explained what it is. It may be that this has been linked now on the YouTube, but myfuturevt.org is a free online platform for career and education exploration and planning, and it's built just for you, so just for Vermonters. So you can explore the top 500 jobs in the state. So using that labor market data, that's what Cindy was talking about earlier. This is Vermont specific information that tells you how many jobs are there in the state, how many openings are there in a particular job, what does that pay, what are the type of skills that you need to enter that job, what is the level of education that you need. You can find all that information. You can do a career interest quiz so you can get a sense of what your strengths are, and then kind of map that to the skills that are required by the different careers. You can see this most promising jobs brochure that we've been talking about with those top jobs in the state come to life on My Future VT as well and do a little bit of a deeper dive than you can on the paper brochure, which is a great starting point. And then we also have a database. It's the only place where you're going to be able to find the education and training programs offered in Vermont. So from CTE programs to graduate level programs at the University of Vermont or somewhere else. This is where you can go. There's 930 types of education programs that you can find, from an apprenticeship to a certificate to a degree of all sorts of kinds. And you can compare them side by side, literally like your online shopping, to get a flavor of the differences between those options that are out there. And then finally, we know that information is valuable, and that tech tools like My Future VT are really valuable. There's a lot of other information on the site that can kind of get you started, help you figure out how to pay for education as well. But you need a real life human being. And sometimes you have that in your school or in your community, and at home. But you also may need an extra hand. So we have a bunch of different career and education services, like uh, the things offered from the Department of Labor, from CCV, from Vermont Works for Women, where you can actually dig into what those offerings are and see if it's a good fit to help you take that next step. Nationally, there are some other tools too. My Next Move is a national tool that has even more occupations that you can explore. And Road Trip Nation is a really wonderful site where you can go see a lot of great videos, even maybe documentaries. You can really dive deep into different paths and start to see yourself in those paths through some videos and profiles of students.
I'll add that I think sometimes, to your point about having a connection with a human person, that can be so valuable. And I think sometimes we might overlook some of the resources that are right around us. And I think about the work that we do with tech centers and the tech center teachers there. Most of them are coming from industry, right? So they're coming with an experience in the workforce in the area that you might have interest, or if you're currently a tech center student or you maybe have interest, they are a great resource for the types of training that might be really valuable to you, the employer connections that might be valuable in your geographic region. And so utilize those resources. Similarly, if you go to programs, if you go to a career exploration program or event, and you find something that's really interesting to you, ask the person about it. If someone is presenting about it, talk with them afterwards. I love talking with students at our events. They come over and say, I tried this at Women Can Do, and it was awesome. And I can follow up with them and say, let's talk about more opportunities that exist in your area, and I can make some connections. Or if I don't know directly, I have a contact in that area, maybe can make a connection for them. So utilize the resources that are kind of like maybe just overlooked, but are definitely there for you.
And Meg, I just want to build on what you're saying. I, I speak for myself. I could talk about myself for a while, right? People are happy to talk about themselves, talk to you about their pathway. A secret is that none of our pathways, I think Mike was saying this earlier, have been straight lines. They zig and they zag, and that's just kind of how it is. And a lot of times we don't present it that way, right? We're like, oh yeah, you got to go, you pick your major and go to college, or pick your profession and go. There's a straight line to it. It's not, and that's okay. And so talking to people and hearing their stories can be really, really valuable to help, I think, you kind of understand that maybe some of the same questions I have or some of the same questions they had, and you might learn something about their pathway that is really interesting and maybe something you want to follow up on.
I'd also add that learning about the opportunities that exist today, um, are twice what they were just a couple of years ago, and they continue to exponentially grow. And so this idea of exploring really needs to be lifelong. So definitely one strategy is to um, sign up for email listservs. Every week, the Department of Labor sends out an email talking about the number of jobs that are available right now. They break it down by region. Other sites like LinkedIn and Indeed have similar sort of services. So consider looking at services that can feed you opportunities on a daily or weekly basis, and you'll start to see trends and opportunities in that too.
Excellent. Um, what are some steps and opportunities a student can take in high school to prepare for a career?
Well, preparing for any career, I would suggest we need to focus on what we call transferable skills. This is something else that's a little bit of a moving target. I think when we think about transferable skills, we think about being a good employee, showing up on time, being a good communicator, and things like that. And those are absolutely critical. But technology and other tools are becoming much more critical to that core package, the core skill set that you want. And I think we've become really good consumers. We consume media and we consume technology. I will watch social media, but what a business is going to want and what's going to help me in my career is the ability to use social media to create value for myself and for my company. AI is super fun. I love going on to ChatGPT and entering prompts and seeing what the answer might be. But how do I use that to create value for myself, make myself more efficient, more effective in school and work? And so, what I would suggest right now is saying, okay, what am I consuming and how do I use this so that I can create value for others? Those are those transferable skills that I think are going to be so critical in the next 5, 10 years, especially.
I guess one thing that I would just share, about it, I think I might have missed the question a little bit, but what I think it was is why would it be important to start early and how? I think about a part-time job. Like Mike talked about transferable skills. Well, we really only get those if we start demonstrating them. And so, if it works for you and it's possible to make it happen, I think about, the part-time jobs I had in school and my kids had in school, and none of them are what I'm doing now, but they're where it all started, and I've built from there. And I think Meg made the point earlier that I also learned along the way that there were some things that I just was pretty sure I didn't want to do. But that's okay too. Like it all sort of points you and keeps you moving in a good direction. So I think one thing that's super valuable early is an opportunity to have a part-time job, or a work-based learning opportunity through school, or a job shadow opportunity school. Anytime you can get yourself in an employment situation, the learning it's just hugely valuable, and I don't think you can replace it. Honestly, I don't think you can replace it. So get yourself into the workplace if you can. I think that's a good start.
Couldn't agree more that those opportunities are so valuable. A few programs that are offered in the state of Vermont that are just really great that you can do in high school to help you. So one, we've talked about career and technical education, your local tech center. The cool thing is that a lot of times, almost every time, honestly, you come out with a credential, some sort of certificate, industry recognized credential, or you're very close, on the path to licensure. That's incredible. You graduate high school with a piece of paper in your hand that's not just a diploma, but a career connected certificate or credential. That's amazing. Dual enrollment. Every junior and senior can take 2 courses for free at Vermont's colleges and universities. That is pretty incredible because you can start, getting a taste of what college might be like for you, but also start earning some credits. Not a ton, but some credits. So it's just that much quicker to graduation if you do enroll after. Early college, you can spend your final year in high school as a full-time college student for free. So this means you can earn your high school diploma with a full year of college under your belt. If you're looking for your associate degree, that means 1 more year. If you're looking for your bachelor's degree, that means another 3. But pretty darn incredible. If you go to CCV, there's a program offered through the McClure Foundation, we mentioned a few times today, that guarantees anyone who does early college a free associate degree through the and up through the class of 2028. So you go early college at CCV, and that next year is paid for. So within 2 years, you have an associate degree for free. If you continue on to a 4-year degree, you're only paying for 2 years of college. Pretty incredible. Fast Forward is like dual enrollment for CTE. So you can actually take college courses through your CTE center for free and earn college credit. Work-based learning we've talked about, and I suspect a lot of you know a little bit about that, but you're venturing outside of the classroom, doing a job shadow, interning, all those kind of opportunities. So those are the other things I would add on top of it, starting a job.
I would add, in addition to those, high school is such a wonderful time where there are so many great career exploration opportunities that exist, and I would say take advantage of many of those as you can, because through that experience, when you try new things, you will learn more about the things that interest you, and you will learn more about what exists out there. A lot of these jobs have like a depth that you might not be aware of, and so those skills can be utilized in a variety of ways. And I think oftentimes it feels like there's a pressure in high school to really narrow in on what it is that you should be doing, what are you going to major in, or what kind of jobs are you going to pursue. And I would push back against that and say, try to broaden it, try to figure out what it is that lights you up, and then take opportunities to do that. There are tons of career exploration opportunities. We have a big event for women and gender, or for girls and gender expansive youth across Vermont, called Women Can Do. It's a 1-day huge event. We bring 450 of you high schoolers to the campus of VTSU Randolph for a full day of hands-on exploration, and you try everything from firefighting to EMT to welding to climbing trees. Like, there's such a variety, and those are the things that are going to help you figure out what might those next steps be, and how you might be able to start some of this work while you're still in high school.
One last one that just came to mind, and there's a big connection to Meg's work here, but there's a program called Serve, Learn, Earn. And this is paid service learning. So you're going out and you're working for the Vermont Youth Conservation Corps, or doing some programs through the Vermont Works for Women, Audubon Vermont, Resource. These are programs, some of these are specifically for teens. You could do them in the summer in a lot of cases. There's often a stipend involved. And so you're getting work experience, you're getting exposure, you're oftentimes earning credentials, or kind of on a pathway towards credentials. So really, really exciting program that's out there now that's worth checking out. Serve, Learn, Earn.
One more I'll just add quickly is Governor's Institutes of Vermont. Great summer programs. Many high schools are now offering high school credit, and some of the programs also offer college credit. These programs are available to all Vermonters, regardless of some of them. Some programs you pay as little as $25 for 2 weeks on campus.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I want to be mindful. Just our last question is, and I think I'll have you answer it how you would like. One is, what advice do you have for not feeling overwhelmed about all the information regarding post-high school planning, and/or just what's some sort of final advice you'd like to leave our viewers with?
I'll start us off. I was given a piece of advice when I was jumping into the job market that has stuck with me, and it's because I was feeling very overwhelmed, and the advice was, it's your first job, not your last job. And what I've taken to really understand about that is that you don't have to have decided right now what your entire educational or career path looks like. That pressure might be there to know that, but I think all of us on this call can attest to the changes that you go through, and as you learn more about yourself, and as work changes, that interest changes, what you want to pursue changes. And so my advice would be, take a step in the direction that you feel drawn to, work really hard, learn what you can, learn about yourself and learn about the work, and then reevaluate, and you'll be best positioned to take the next step. And that step might be in the same direction, or it might be in a little bit of a different direction, but you'll be more prepared in that moment to take that next step than you are right now to make a decision for what that looks like for the rest of your life.
It's really good
Um,
advice.
oh,
I would suggest building your team. And, it can be easy to feel overwhelmed when you feel like you have to carry everything yourself. And, when you were young, you had a very small team. You had maybe some parents and siblings, and then you had a teacher. And in high school, you had all of these things, maybe, and a guidance counselor. Um, you want to build a team, people that you trust, that you can ask questions of, and they say that you need to have technical skills, but you also need to have a network of people to help you sort of advance in your career. And I would, if I'm being candid, most of the positions I've had in my life came through networking, people that I knew and people that knew me and valued my work and brought me in. So I would just suggest building that network. And as you meet people, keep them close, reach out and keep people up to date on how you're doing and just feel free to ask those questions and get that support of a team.
I guess both Meg and Mike have hit it spot on. I don't have anything huge to add except trust your gut, because as you kind of try things and as you take in information, you should be responding, and if it just doesn't feel like the right thing to do, it's okay. Take a different direction, because like everybody has said, this isn't a straight line, and it's going to be curvy, and there's going to be lots of things that are you'll feel like are really powerful growth moments, and others that you'll say had gone different, but that's okay. That's how we all got where we are. And then the other thing I just would say is take a growth mindset, which is, I don't know how to do it yet. Like, I'm not quite, I'm not an expert yet, or I have a lot to learn still. And if you keep your mind open to the idea of learning from lots of people in your network, lots of sources of data potentially, if that's how you like to take in information. I think if you just, apply a really open mind to as information comes at you, you can't go wrong. And somebody said to me one time, we shouldn't say to young people, what do you want to do when you grow up? It's like, what problem would you like to solve, or how would you like to kind of fit into your community? And I think that that's another way to think about it. So those are little bits of advice for you.
100%. And we're all figuring out. Like, I think, know that everyone around you is going through the same thing. And not just your friends or the people in your classes, but the adults are too, right? We're still navigating it, figuring it out. I don't know where my career is going to end. I don't have a clue. And sometimes that can be overwhelming. But what I try to do, and what the advice I give to you, is to take it in chunks. So take one piece at a time. You don't have to solve for everything all at once. So start with, as we talked about earlier, what are my interests? What am I interested in? What are those different career and education opportunities that might connect to that? What's the support system that I have that I'm building, or that may be there already for me? If you can answer those questions individually, you can then kind of splice them together, and then all of a sudden you have a plan, or at least the beginnings of a plan. And by the time you graduate high school, don't think about that end goal. Think about, okay, here's what I want to do in the next few years. Here's what I'd like to do by the age I'm 25, whatever. Start with those smaller goals, because guess what? Something's going to change between 18 and 25 anyway. So start with those first steps, and do it in chunks.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. We have about 6 minutes or so left for any questions from the audience and the viewers tonight. Susie, I'm wondering if you want to see what questions are coming up, if there are questions that we haven't answered yet or responded to.
We had one question that has not been responded to yet. I think it's the resource exists and we've talked about it, but one student is asking how they find out information about where to study different majors, where to study different things. So this particular student is interested in studying nursing. How would they know where to go study that or where to go learn about it? What resources can they lean to get information on that?
Yeah, start with myfuturevt.org and go there. And there are 3 databases, as I was talking about earlier. One is around careers. So you could go into the Explore Careers, the tab down to search careers. And then you could type in nurse. And so you learn all about the different nursing careers that are out there. In each of those, we call them career detail pages, you can actually be linked to the education programs that are available. The other way to do that is to go to the Explore the Education tab in My Future VT, go to Search Education and Training, and there's that database of different education programs. There's 930 education programs that we have on the site right now. And in the search, just type in nurse or nursing or healthcare, and you'll see which education programs in the state lead to those outcomes.
I have one question. For some students, we have are limited in their lack of transportation. So they either live in a more rural area or they don't have access to a car. Of the resources that you've mentioned and the Cindy, specifically Department of Labor, is there online consulting, counseling? Are there places where students can go to get information without having to go meet with somebody? Michael, what about CCV? What are the options, hybrid or online, for students to learn more and get more information and training?
Yes, yes. We do have the ability to connect with our customers who are interested in, receiving some career exploration or career counseling or job search guidance or training planning, all those things. Very much in a meeting like this, the state of Vermont works in the Microsoft Teams world, so we would maybe send you a link and we could do it virtually. We do a lot of emailing back and forth with people. We would guide you to different websites. So yeah, we can definitely provide virtual services.
Thank you.
And then Susie, on the CCV side of things, over 90% of our courses are currently being offered online or in some hybrid format. And so from a training perspective, everything is very accessible. And when I say online, that means different things. There are virtual meetings like this that people can attend if that's a good, learning modality for you. We have asynchronous learning. We have flex and hybrid. If we're talking about alignment with a career, our Career Pathways program is also offered in a hybrid format. So you learn online. There are often 1 or 2 full-day in-person labs, and we work with VTrans for students that need transportation to provide that on demand for those experiences. And then when you're completed with that that piece of the program, now we need to start talking about employment. So food for thought is, how does that lack of transportation affect your employment opportunities? And if we were really looking to potentially work from home, we can identify those remote work opportunities also and go that route. So lots of opportunities.
We have a couple more questions in the last minute. Somebody one of our audience members wanted to put a plug in for VSAC as a great resource for everything career, college, and financial aid. Absolutely, vsac.org has all types of resources and workshops online, and they have a workshop coming up in the spring on UVM's campus, career and college pathways. So please check out their website. And then another student asked about early college, Tom, that you mentioned. They wanted to know if they could start to explore that as a junior. And yes, now is the time to explore that, because they would be doing that their senior year and then the year after they graduate high school. So go see your school counselor and they could certainly give you some information. Yes. Not too late for a junior to engage in that.
Yes.
Those are all the questions.
Yeah, and it's priorities, early college priority deadlines May 1st, I believe, but you can apply until mid-August, I believe. It's either August 6th, August 12th. So you still have time, but definitely check in with your school counselor to assist you with that. And maybe they can even connect you with a student who's currently in the program. And we have students at CVU who are doing the 2-year program thanks to the McClure Foundation. So.
And that VSAC College and Career Pathways is Saturday, March 14th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Meg, Tom, Cindy, Michael, thank you so much for your time with us. We really appreciate your insights. We know our viewers and the audience really appreciate your insights and information and your support as well. We'll be sure to share these links out with our community members, post them on our website, and we'll also be sharing this recording on our CVU Direction Center webpage as well, and sharing it out with school counselors in the region and across the state of Vermont. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you.